Hello friends, welcome back. Let us continue with the discussion related to group leadership. Today I am going to discuss about something apart from what we have discussed and which is a less discussed aspect and area when we talk about leadership, that is leadership styles congruent with Indian culture or from Indian perspective. So, there are also certain leadership styles which evolved in Indian culture and Indian organizations, and how these cultures have impacted Indian organizations to a larger extent. Although these Indian leadership styles or theoretical assumptions have also great application in Western cultures as well. So, before discussing in detail about leadership styles which are congruent with Indian culture or perspectives, it is very important to understand that what factors encouraged that led to the evolution of Indian leadership styles, and how these factors came out to be an interplay of certain factors which has influence of Western cultures, technologies and the Indian environment. So, the first factor that evolved out of the interplay of at least certain factors are that professionals and practitioners who played a leading role in evolving perspectives that helped them understand organization reality and make interventions to develop more effective organizations. So, this pertains that some Indian professionals and practitioners encouraged to understand the reality of the Indian organizations and make different interventions to develop more effective organizations apart from Western organizations, because every country has a different work culture. So, how Indian culture and understanding the reality of the Indian organizations can be merged into that can evolve into a different form of leadership style. So, that was the first factor that led to the evolvement of leadership styles with Indian perspective. The other was the nation's aspirations to develop through the 5 years plan by expanding industrial activities, particularly in the public sector. So, this was the major factor that after independence also industrialization took place, and most of the industrialization was taken by the government itself. It was a government enterprising initiative to establish certain industries, and how those industries can be developed while considering the 5-year plans. So, this is something a very root level factor, that how Indian leadership styles evolved with independence, with the evolution of industrialization in India. Values and models of effective organizations that came along with Western technology, science and capital that interfaced with Indian social values and work habits. So, even the values played very important role in the evolution of the Indian perspectives when it comes to Indian leadership styles. The values, the models, that which organization was more effective with which kind of strategy, and how the values can be an added on advantage to develop a new style of leadership which is very much conducive to Indian culture. And the last is global and local conditions that moderated all the previously listed factors. So, this is about merging the local aspects of the industries and the global aspect. It is about merging the national and international different aspects of leadership styles, and how these global and local perspectives played an interplay in a very wonderful manner that helped to evolve with new leadership styles. So, based on these certain factors in terms of professionals and practitioners, in terms of understanding the environment of Indian organizations, the value of models of effective organizations that have been implemented in organizations, the culture and the global and local conditions helped Indian organizations to evolve with some different leadership styles. And what are those theoretical aspects? So, we have 3 theories of leadership that are congruent with the Indian cultural ethos. Here ethos means that what is of prime importance in any industry or any culture that makes it functional. So, they are the pioneering innovative style or the PA style by Khandwala in the year 1988. The other is the paternalistic leadership style developed by Varmani and Guptam in 1991, and the Nurturant Task-Participative, that is NTP model of leadership. So, these 3 leadership evolved with the Indian perspectives. So, let us talk in detail about the pioneering innovative style. So, this leadership style was developed based on examining the 75 large public sector and private sector organizations in order to identify the indigenously evolved PI style. Now, indigenously evolved PI style has its specific meaning, that what evolves in its own culture. There are certain factors, there are certain patterns, work styles, work environment that evolves in its own way in a particular country, culture or environment, and which is very much different from other patterns. This is indigenously. So, Khandwala argued that the PI style is the outgrowth of the entrepreneurial tradition in the country exemplified by Jamshedji Tata, Walchand Hirachand and Ghanshyam Das Birla. So, they are the industrialists of that time when they were evolving as leaders in organizations. They were trying to shape up the economy of the country with proper or appropriate or conducive leadership style, and this is the outgrowth that these organizations, these entrepreneurs are the one who pioneered the evolution of Indian leadership theories. So, the PI style are essentially entrepreneurs with a blend of professionalism. They had all the professional experience and education, these industrialists, and how they use their experience, their expertise, their education into an utmost professionalism to establish these organizations. Now, here I have just exemplified Jamshedji Tata, Walchand Hirachand or Ghanshyam Das Birla. There are another also. For instance, Jamnalal Bajaj, they are the pioneers who shaped up the Indian economy, and ultimately they have developed as indigenous entrepreneurs. So, they tend to launch pioneering, novel, technologically sophisticated and high quality products and services in the market. So, based on their professionalism, based on their vigor, based on their ideas and visions, they came out to evolve as an innovative and pioneering leaders and have had the courage to manufacture technically sophisticated products in the market. They ventured into FMCG, they ventured into manufacturing, they ventured into different aspects. So, they are willing to take risk and adapt to the changing business environment. With their own professionalism they took the risk to venture into the market and establish themselves as robust entrepreneurs and industrialists. So, with this kind of leadership, that is pioneering innovative leadership style, they acquired the latest and best quality equipment and machines from anywhere in the world by paying even premium prices. Since this kind of Indian leadership style, that is pioneering and innovative leadership style, they were ready to take the risk to invest lot of money in the market, and they had paid hefty price to acquire the latest and best quality equipment, and they invested heavily and take the risk to incur losses. At the time when the industrialization was just taking off in India, these pioneer leaders took a risk to even to incur certain losses along with the risk, and invested money and time along with the profession to come with some innovative ideas to establish big organizations in India. So, they carefully scanned the business environment and adapt to its changing demand. So, what was the changing demand? The changing demand in the environment was actually the rise of the industrialization in India, and how these pioneers took the whole environment in their stride in order to establish organizations or work culture in India. So, according to Khandwala, the PI style is an ambitious style with high performance aspirations combined with conscientiousness, expertise, teamwork, achievement orientation, tough as well as tender to personal mode. So, this is a blend where it is not only about establishing any organization or occupying the market or taking the risk. This leadership style is also a blend of aspirations combined with conscientiousness, expertise, teamwork, achievement orientation, toughness as well as tender to personal mode. That means taking care of the personnel or employees, and to that extent that it seemed to land the organization into a more complex turbulent mode, but offered favorable operating environment to the middle management level. Now, with this kind of PI style, that is pioneering innovative style, there was toughness in the environment along with some kind of tenderness for the personnel or the employees, and it definitely led to turbulence in the market, but at the same time it also offered a favorable operating environment for the employees, especially for the middle level management, and raised the long term growth rate of the organization both absolutely and relative to rival organizations. So, this was a perfect, this leadership style, that is PI style, pioneering innovative style in Indian organization, emerged as a turbulent as well as a tender leadership style, which not only offered a conducive environment to the employees, but it also led to the growth in percentage in the market while capturing the customers, the clients and the organization. This is a leadership in its own way which was found to be more conducive to the Indian organizations when industrialization took place at a higher rate. Alright. The next is paternalistic style, developed by Vermani and Gupta in the year 1991. So, Vermani and Gupta studied managers in a variety of Indian organizations ranging from family owned cooperative public sector and multinational organizations. So, this is another development from PI style to paternalistic style, and they tend to understand managerial behavior in different organizations which are family owned, which are public, which were cooperative and also multinational corporations. So, the managers reported that participative style is farcical in Indian conditions, and that the effective top man is paternalistic, who centralizes power and takes all decision. So, based on the study of the managerial behavior in these organizations, it was found that managers considered leadership style to be more paternalistic in nature while less in participative nature. So, it was inappropriate to talk about any participative style of leadership in Indian organizations, but more of paternalistic style of leadership. So, if the leader or the top authority is competent and has concern for subordinates, and subordinates have faith in and respect for them, then it is a paternalistic style of leadership. So, according to managers, the data that was collected from managers, it said the data was concluded in a way that if any leader who is competent, who has concern for the subordinates, and in reciprocation subordinates also have faith in respect for the leader, then it is a paternalistic style of leadership. And this kind of leadership has its own elements. So, the first element is that a leader with a paternalistic style of leadership is a person with high integrity, vision, dedication and warmth. That is, he has lot of concern for the personnel and the employees, and the leader creates an effective boundary manager. He sets the limits. The leader sets a line between the follower and the leader. The leader has the competency and capability to mobilize the resources while taking things in his own hands and taking decisions, and that too in benefit of the followers. He builds a system that how the organization will be structured and how the organization will function, and more importantly, the leader will be perceived as a father figure with a human face, who not only takes decisions on his own, maybe in a very unanimous nature style, but he is also a caretaker for the whole organization, especially for employees. So, in this kind of paternalistic style, the leader has both the qualities of having a paternalistic nature as well as more authoritative in its own way, where he is taking care of the resources, mobilizing them, and then taking care of the employees. He has a vision, but at the same time he has warmth for his own employees as well, but at the same time he draws the line between the manager and the follower, while establishing a strong system that how the organization and employees will function for maximum growth. So, paternalistic leader is found to be effective in a number of Asian countries, and unlike an autocratic leader, the paternalistic leader shares, discusses and consults the subordinates, maintains personalized relationships, listens to their ideas and concerns in private, and tends to maintain harmony. This is another novel aspect of this kind of leadership in Indian organizations, that having even a father figure image, still such kind of leaders in organizations have lot of concern for the employees while taking the whole decision on their own, but they have lot of concern for the employees in terms of decision, in terms of vision, in terms of responsibilities and in terms of maintaining harmony within the organization. So, Ultimately, a paternalistic style of leadership has a moral obligation to use his power not for exploiting and domineering, but to protect the less powerful ones. So, no matter what, that the leader has all the power when it is about paternalistic style, but it becomes the moral duty of paternalistic leader to take utmost care of the employees and the organization while not being more domineering. So, point is that even the leader has a father face figure in the organization and having all the power, still he or she will restrict himself in order to take care of the employees and not misusing his power or taking any decisions in a very unanimous fashion. So, this is about the paternalistic style of leadership developed by Vermani and Gupta. Alright, and the last is Nurturant Task-Participative or NTP leadership, a model of leadership developed by Sinha in the year 1980. This is something which resulted in a leadership that draws on Indian cultural values as well as universal leadership process. So, it is a blend of Western and Indian cultures or Western and Indian values, and how a leader can turn out to be a nurturant and at the same time fosters task participative. So, the model emphasizes the importance of participative style, but only when it is preceded by the nurturant task style, in a way that a leader can be a nurturant task participative leader if he has the ability and aim to nurture the followers. So, here the nurture means to nourish, to care, to rear, to train and to educate the employees in order to take the right decision. Therefore, a nurturant leader is one who cares for his subordinates, is committed to their well-being, allows them to depend on him for guidance and direction and establishing emotional bonds with them. It is through this kind of behavioral traits that any industry or any employee will be considered as a priority by the leader. The leader guides them and in work as well as in the personal matters and help them grow and mature, and if necessary reprimands them to bring them back on track. So, it is about nurturing the employees, nurturing the workforce, nurturing the manpower in a way that utmost care is given to the employees in order to keep the organization functional. Nurturant style is quite close to the paternalistic style. This is something very much understood, that how nurturant leadership and paternalistic style of leadership are so close because they feature the same elements. So, which is reported to be effective in Asian cultures. And if we talk about the Indian cultures, Indian values and ethos, then this kind of leadership also promotes a sense of understanding that a leader is the house head who is known as the Karta in Indian language and is a symbol in the formulation of transformational leadership. That is again a Western kind of leadership, transformational leadership, which we have already discussed, but it also focuses on Western aspect of leadership style, that is transformational. Further, nurturant leader is particularly preferred by those subordinates who have the disposition to accept his superior's status, depend on him and maintain personalized relationship with him. Now, this kind of situation or leadership is very much appropriate when subordinates are more dependable on the leader, they are ready to accept the superiority of the leader and completely depend on him. So, they tend to maintain a personalized relationship in form of transformational leadership style, and under this kind of leadership the relationship is based on affection for its subordinates, which is termed as sneh in Indian language, who reciprocate by cultivating deference for the leader, that is Shraddha or deference, that is the followers tend to accept the leader by showing utter respect to the leader in itself, that there is a very affectionate bonding, emotional bonding between the leader and follower when it is about nurturing task participative leadership style. Now, since we are talking about nurturance in this kind of leadership, then more focus was made by other researchers to advocate about unconditional affection that has the potential to establish emotional bond between the leader and the subordinates. So, this is so obvious that this kind of leadership has symbolically expressed leader to be the house head, to be more affectionate and garners lot of respect, then definitely unconditional affection was the aim of this kind of leadership to be promoted in any organization, and a strong bond can be established between the leader and the follower. And once an emotional bond is established, the subordinates considered work as a duty and do not require tangible compensation for performing it diligently, because the employees also consider their organization, their work as a duty, and they are motivated to perform their task and job more with diligence and less with some compensation. So, because employees are more able to connect with the leader in a very emotional manner. In other words, affection should not be denied to non-performing subordinates. Based on this, Sinha also admitted that unconditional nurturance creates an emotional bond, but not necessarily orients subordinates to view work as a duty and hence perform diligently. On the contrary, it might displace work from its centrality in the life space of subordinates, giving rise to sycophancy, where subordinates ingratiate the leader profusely, overdepend on him, and overplay their loyalty cards to seek increasingly greater degree of nurturance. So, this was the criticism which was given by Sinha by himself, that if too much of emotional bonding is there, then sometimes the employees can also get distracted and they can engage in other kind of behavioral which is not desirable, that is sycophancy, where they tend to become more lenient with the job and tend to expect the other people to finish their jobs, or they tend to ingratiate, that means they try to impress their bosses or the leader in a way that decision should be in their favor while not working diligently. So, there can be more dependence on the higher authorities and overplay their loyalty cards to seek increasingly greater degree of nurturance. So, the leader may inadvertently enjoy his adulation at the cost of work performance. So, if any leader who has been ingratiated will tend to enjoy such kind of adulation and may distract the work environment and the work outcomes. Therefore, Sinha argued that leader must make his nurturance contingent on his subordinates' performance, that is, there has to be a sense of balance between nurturance and participation of the employees in order to reach the goal or the task. And the nurturant task relationship, in other words, is based on the universally valid principle of operant conditioning, where subordinates have to earn nurturance by performing their tasks well. So, it is not only, according to Sinha also, based on giving his own criticism to his theory, that even in this kind of leadership, that is nurturant task leadership style, any follower can only earn the affection of the employees based on performing their tasks well, that is with diligence. It is not that only the leader is giving all the kind of affection to the employees and in return the employees are failing to perform their job. So, there has to be a validity of this kind of relationship which owes to the positive organizational outcome. So, this was the discussion pertinent to the three leadership styles, that is the pioneering innovative style, the paternalistic leadership style and the nurturant task leadership style or model of leadership, which evolved in Indian organizations with Indian ethos and Indian perspectives. Here I would like to end the discussion of this module, that is group leadership. We will continue to start with a new module in the next session. Thank you so much.